Space Program is the Promise Innovation Bank. It is a portfolio of ideas, implements and initiatives that has made a difference to care delivery at the frontline. It provides examples from practice for one of Promise's key frameworks, Promote, proactive modeling of therapeutic environments, a framework that helps staff at all levels capture and nurture ideas and see them through to implementation. On a busy ward, a nurse or a doctor might be juggling 10 different things. The stresses and strains are such that a simple request from a patient might feel like it's getting in the way of doing the job. Promote helps staff remain mindful of the fact that the patient is not in the way. Patient is the way. If this principle could be adhered to, staff can reflect on how they carry out their daily business, how it adds value, and ask questions of their own practice. Keeping an open and curious mind that does not accept "we have always done it this way" will uncap a wealth of experience and knowledge essential for continuous improvement and innovation. And if we can embrace the patient to be our guide and walk in their footsteps, the smallest of steps we take can make a difference that is profound. A good example of this is from Mulberry 2. It is a 3-week treatment unit in Cambridge. Ward staff were looking at the start of the day from the patient's perspective. What they realized was that it often started with a polite but firm request, "Wake up, it's 8 o'clock, it's medication time." Some staff said, "Surely we can do this better. Why don't we go in 10 minutes early, wake people up with a cup of tea? That way they have the option of getting ready to come to the clinic room to have their medication, and if they want their medication in bed, we can bring it to them." It goes without saying that even a simple change like this would have created many different thoughts in the minds of some staff. For example, "This is not a hotel," or "I never get a cup of tea in bed in the morning." But when staff started doing this, what a difference it made to the way in which patients started their day. Oak 2, which is a 3-week treatment ward in Peterborough, followed suit. They carried out a similar change to mark the end of the day. A tea and toast group. It allowed everyone to get things off their chest, reflect on the day and plan for tomorrow, and promoting good sleep hygiene. So, morning shows the day, and all is well that ends well. So as we moved forward, we kept encouraging staff to reflect together with patients how they could add value to their recovery journey. We took on an exercise to map all these bottom-up frontline initiatives, small changes that have the potential to make a big difference. We listed over 200 of them. In order to make them easily accessible, we initially had them organized in 3 categories: person-centered pathways, satisfied staff, and healing environments. However, as the numbers grew, we decided it was more appropriate to theme them around the concept of space, hence the Space Program. It all starts from the position of mutual respect of what is the patient space and what is the professional space. The patient can invite the professional into their space, like their bedroom, and vice versa. However, it is an invitation, and the privacy of each needs to be respected. Grasping this fundamentally changes how routine work is carried out, from waking the patient up in the morning to doing observations at night when the patient is asleep. So the Space Program is all about transforming spaces. My space, your space, our shared space. This change in philosophy was aptly captured in a simple notice at the nursing station door of Oak 1, which is a 3-week female treatment unit. "Pull up a pew, let's chat for a few." Inviting patients into the nursing office, which previously was an absolute no-no, showed what could be achieved with a bit of thought to maintaining a tidy office space that ensured other patients' confidentiality was not breached. So spaces, which were traditionally one's or the other's, become shared, or active, or for that matter creative, or reflective. So, here are a few examples from these spaces. The No Audit. So on Mulberry 2, which is a 3-week treatment unit as I said earlier, staff came up with the idea of the No Audit. From time to time, staff have to say no to patients, and this can cause great distress. However, each occasion provides an opportunity to reflect. With a non-judgmental stance, staff are encouraged to think whether they could have said yes, and if not, whether they could have met the patient halfway. If they had to say no, did they say it in the nicest possible way and offer an explanation? This leads to a culture of first say yes. If the answer is no, the patient gets a sense of what would need to change for staff to have said yes. For example, leave from hospital being contingent on the improvement they make. We came up with the REFLECT acronym as a way of remembering what needs to be thought about. A good example is pets on the wards. Understandably, people want to see their dog, but pets are not routinely allowed due to infection control. However, it's known that animals are one of the best therapies and have an amazingly calming effect on the ward. Staff consider the risks, and the reality is that you are more likely to catch a cold from someone else than a flea from a dog. Thus, following the no audit, they decided that the benefits far outweigh the risks as long as other patients didn't mind. Open door. Now this is an example of a shared space from Mulberry One, which is a 3-day assessment unit. Here, certain patients have an open door. These are patients who have previously not engaged well with the crisis resolution and home treatment team, but generally value time on the ward. These patients can request a 2-night admission, which they don't need to justify, but they must stick to the ward contract. The only condition is that they must not have self-harmed in the previous 48 hours, and there is no set admission interval. The initiative aims to promote shared responsibility and collaborative working with patients who frequently attend A&E with self-harm. It also reduces the scenario where patients take greater and greater risks to communicate their distress due to not being heard. It has been our experience that patients take this responsibility very seriously. It would be fair to say that it is not a panacea for all, but for many, this proactive approach has broken the cycle of repeat presentations in crisis. Parity Promoter is a reflective space example. Using tools like this, staff can reflect on the disparity between staff and patients which often perpetuate their menace. Most are accepted as the norm, but tools like Parity Promoter can help overcome the desensitization that both staff and patients may experience and encourage them to ask why. For example, when a new ward manager was appointed to Mulberry 3, which is a 3-month recovery unit in Cambridge, he immediately recognized how divisive it was to dispense medication over a hatch. There was a potential for friction because it was giving a clear message, those with the power on one side and those without power queuing in an institutionalized line on the other side. The stable door was replaced, chairs were brought in, and now patients are always invited into the clinic room on an individual basis to take their medication. This gives them a confidential, dignified space in which they can discuss any issues related to medication. So, this particular unit is housed in a 1920s building, and staff here took a radical approach how to go about changing the space they had. They made the case to knock down some internal walls to open up the sitting area and the dining space. It provided clear line of sight for staff and patients in and out of the nursing station and made things more transparent. They also changed the furniture and made it low-lying to add a sense of space. An active space example comes from Peterborough in the form of Horticulture. Here, patients are taken from the ward to an allotment where they cultivate a variety of vegetables. The produce goes into the slow cooker meals, which we'll come on to in a moment, and it is such a popular scheme that many patients come back even when they have been discharged and are back in the community. Patients are also asked if they would like a plant to nurture in their room to give it a sensory feel. Letters for Later is an example that cuts across reflective, creative, and shared spaces. On Oak One, which is a 3-week female treatment unit, when a patient is on the road to recovery and ready to leave the ward, they are invited to write a letter addressed to themselves. If they are readmitted, they can read it, as this reminds them that they can get well again. Recovery is possible and that there is hope. Creative activities such as defacing laminated images, coloring in, doodling, scrapbooking, and sketching enable patients to explore feelings and create a sense of connectedness. Creativity can be an important part of individuals' recovery journey and often helps patients rediscover their innate creativity, building a sense of hope. Music is another example of a creative space. Many patients find that music provides a space to heal emotionally, develop new skills, explore their spirituality, and have fun as well. Promoting sensory approaches is another way to form and enhance creative spaces. The current plan involves training the entire inpatient workforce in sensory approaches. On Darwin, which is a young people's unit, patients have an emotional well-being passport. This is a patient-held and patient-owned document that enables the young people to provide written answers to questions that they may find difficult to verbalize, but that can help staff to support them more effectively. The passport includes prompts such as, "These are the kind of things to notice about me when I'm struggling. These are the kind of things that soothe me." On Maple One, which is an older adults ward, staff have created an old-fashioned sweet shop or a reminiscence room. Patients are enabled to come and go as they choose and sample sweets on offer, as well as being able to enjoy the other reminiscence items in the room. There's a lot of work that has been done around mood and food, and many dining areas now have a cafe, bistro-style appearance. They include tablecloths, napkins, and menus. They also have a more homely feel with comfortable chairs and flowers on tables. The aim was to make mealtimes fun with a happy atmosphere, so staff and patients painted their dining areas and put up nice coats. Staff now routinely join patients for meals, and not only does it make for a social occasion, it also helps break down the barriers. Ready Steady Care is also a nice example for mood and food. It was initiated by a healthcare assistant on Oak One. She organized a slow cooker meal day. It immediately had a lot of positive feedback. This has now become a regular fixture. There are 3 slow cooker meals a week, and patients learn new skills, share skills, and the day ends on a positive note with everyone sitting around the table for a family-style meal. If you enjoyed hearing these examples from our space program, please do promote this video and share it as widely as you can. We would also like to hear about ideas and innovations emerging from your neck of the woods. There are many ways to get in touch, the easiest of which is to email promise@cpft.nhs.uk. Thank you.